Hello, everybody. Welcome to Build Crew episode 4, I think. I'm not even sure how many we've done. It's a part of my life now. We've got Thorsten Ball, Ryan Carson, and we are joined by Build Crewer Colleen Brady today. How, everybody?
Woo-hoo. Hello.
Hello, it's great to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, I think we have like all 4 corners of the Western world covered right now. So we've got everybody, at least all corners of the United States. So that's great. Loving it. What? You're in...
Come on.
What about Thorsten?
Where are you, Colleen?
Thorsten, you make it. You're covering like a part of sort of Northern Europe, and that includes every. I think you're doing.
Yeah, where's Colleen?
My
I need to know.
I'm in Florida, so I think I'm straight down from Ryan. Is that right?
Yeah, East Coast. Let's go.
Exactly.
So we got the East Coast represented.
It's we're not going to make this a geometry lesson, but I'm right.
Let's pull up Google Maps real quick and let's look at the 4 corners of the Western world and how we
go.
Like, I'm here to do funny things. I'm not here to be correct. Okay, that's not what the show is about. So, thanks for everybody who's joining. Please feel free to drop comments wherever you're watching this. We love seeing that. We'll definitely want to pull those questions up. For those of you that are just joining us or haven't been a part of Build Crew before, this is part of Build Crew. If you go to buildcrew.team, it's a community for anybody who's building with agentic agents. We've got a lot of people. We do a daily stand-up. So if you're building something on the side and you need a team to feel like you're part of, join that stand-up every day at 10:30 a.m. Pacific. It was actually Colleen's idea. So it's a big reason why Colleen's here. So
Good job, Colleen.
Thanks for joining today, Colleen. Colleen's a Build Crew member and is here to sort of represent the community and share what she's been working on. But today I want to get started. This is my favorite question to ask every week because it annoys everybody. And that is, what's the thing that you've changed your mind about? I feel like everybody spends a significant amount of time trying to figure out what they believe about agentic agents, and every single week it changes. And so that's my first question. It's just sort of a lightning round. What have you changed your mind about this week? We'll start with Ryan.
Yeah, I've got one. So this actually has to do with our big announcement tomorrow. So I can't actually say what I changed my mind on, but it's like a big deal. And so I'll say what we're launching tomorrow is something that I didn't think it would work at first or was a good idea. And now I completely think it's a good idea. So interesting. But now let me actually share something that I changed my mind on, which is books. I read them. So I'm sorry, Thorsten.
What was the original opinion you had?
So
he only read comics. So he was an Archie guy through and through.
I only read Calvin Hobbes before this. No, I tend to just read everything digital. Like everything's online. It's all I do. And I could see Thorsten just like recoiling with horror, maybe.
No,
but I tend to just read everything online. And recently, I got this book from Stripe Press, and so this is called "The Making of Prince of Persia," and it's this beautiful, like, gorgeous book with it's all of his journal entries. And I guess I decided, you know what? I just love reading offline. Like if I can, I love it. So I bought my second one already because I just finished that one. This is the one that just came out, which is called The Scaling Era, An Oral History of AI by Dorkesh Patel and Gavin Leach. And I just started that last night. So the thing I changed my mind on is it's good to sit by the fire and read books. You're welcome.
I love, guy in Northeast, or guy in New England decides it's nice to cuddle up by fire in fall, like breaking news,
I'm just trying to be helpful.
But did you do it yet? Like, did you cuddle up and read like the physical book?
So this one's done. I literally have read it all. And this is such a good book. If you're entrepreneurial as well, this is like the whole like ups and downs and doubts and excitement and fear, like all in building a startup. That was this one. So that was easy. And I read it and it's done. So yes, Thorsten, I have read one book now.
I'm asking because I'm a heavy Kindle reader. Yep. And I like books, but every time I buy a physical book and then I think, oh, it's nice to have the physical thing. And then I imagine reading it, but then I'm like, this is not good. Like, this is not handy. And then you're in bed and it's too heavy and it falls on your face. And you're like, I wish this was a Kindle book,
Yep,
and it's,
yep.
I like having them here, but
This
But
is the meme of like all the dead things, and it's like all my old books looking at the new book I just bought, and I'm also not going to read. Ryan, I'm
I
just
mean,
picturing you
yeah.
with like thick knitted woolen socks on right now, just like
Oh yeah.
getting cozy in there.
Yeah. I got a sweater that I'm putting on in a second. It's gonna be great. So
That's great. Cool. Colleen, do you want to go next? We've got. I just realized it's 3 black shirts and a like delightfully pink shirt. So I'll let you go.
well done.
Thank you. I almost wore black. I guess I didn't get the memo about wearing a black.
Sorry.
A black.
Apologize.
Yeah. Next time, for your guests,
Mhm.
make sure they know. Make sure they know. I actually just my copy of that book just arrived this weekend, and so I am really excited about it. I haven't yet taken the plastic off the cover. It looks like it just is gorgeous. I think it's going to be an experience. I saw yesterday, I don't remember who was sharing it, but like the images that like didn't make it into that publication, and they were just beautiful. So I agree. I think there's something very special about reading a physical book and being able to have this era captured in book form and not just electronically, I think is wonderful. So I really be curious to hear what others.
So what's the one thing you
about
changed your mind about this week?
One thing that I changed my mind on this week is I had been going back and forth between Claude and ChatGPT for doing JSON for N8N workflows. And I always felt like, hey, they're basically interchangeable. But more recently, I'm finding that ChatGPT just cannot give me my good JSON for my N8N workflows. So I've switched over just straight to Claude Code these days. So we'll see.
What's the workflow?
So the workflow, I love to just basically ideate. And so like I'm thinking through what all do I need to have happen. And then basically I ask to have my workflow created as a JSON file that I can then drop into N8N. And basically I then have my scaffold out so that I'm not actually having to go from point to point to point and do all the configuration. Basically everything is all connected. And that's one of the things that I'm noticing with ChatGPT this week is that it's not necessarily connecting all the nodes. And it's also making up nodes. So that is just, that's not good. Not helpful.
What? N8N. Sorry, I'm playing the dumb guy on this show.
Oh, good old
Workflow automation. I've seen this before.
So Zapier make those types of. They're all in the kind of
that's
same
even
bucket.
a German company. They were in the news, right?
They just raised some money this week too, or last week I think too.
First time, First time, I think $1 billion or something. Yeah.
Very cool tool. Open source, non-open source. So depending upon what your needs are, very, very flexible tool.
Nice.
It's one of those things that I think there's a lot of like less technical people that have been adopting it and building really powerful stuff on it. And then the more technical people I know are sort of like, well, you can just do that with, and it's like, well, everyone said that about Zapier and now look at them. So I think it's a really cool tool.
It is.
All right, Thorsten, what's your thing you changed your mind on this week? Have you had time to change your mind?
This is tough. You both came out of the gates flying. Colleen has been waiting for this. It's felt like here's what I got. And I got one thing, and it's not, it's not a binary switch. It's more like I can feel that I'm changing my mind on it. And I know how lame this is going to sound because it's going to be like a little advertisement for us. But here goes nothing. I've always liked like the AMP code website to share threads, but I've never been one of those on the team that said, "Oh, I always look at everybody else's threads to pick up patterns." Like, I don't know. I've never really done this. I think we've talked about this before here, but now over the weekend I hacked on something, and I think I might even show this then. I don't know. But basically I added the ability to favorite thread, so you can click a star and whatnot. And it started to make me think of, well, it is kind of cool to see other people's and bookmark this stuff and come back to it. Even if even for just conversations like this, where somebody's asking you, like, how do you do this? How do you prompt like this? What does a good prompt look like? And you don't have to make it up, like be super explicit, but instead, Mitchell Hashimoto wrote this blog post over the weekend of how he uses, coding agents, in this case, AMP, even to build a non-trivial feature. And I kind of bookmarked one of his threads because they're really good, and it's just something you can point at and say, this is how you should do it, and not please fix this or something. So as dumb as it sounds, like I'm starting to have more and more ideas of what to do with our web platform and how important it could be or should be. So yeah.
Yeah, that discussion was amazing. I feel like Mitchell posting the thread was like this kind of watershed moment where people started talking about the conversations we're having with our agentic coding tools and like what's
Yeah.
actually happening behind closed doors. And I thought it was really cool to see that
And I
conversation.
mean, last 6 months have been, people saying, oh, it doesn't work for me. And then somebody says like, oh, it works for me. And then person A goes, then show me, where's the, where's the omelette? Like, how does it actually work? Like if you're also productive, where's the 10x better software and whatnot? And I think him showing, here's a real feature I built in an application that you all, or most of you, respect and love and use, go see a terminal emulator. I think that goes a long way to showing like, okay, this is a serious engineering tool. Like it's not just vibe coding and throwaway stuff and whatnot. This is, actual engineering. It's nice.
We should really have like a hacker news for threads where like threads can be upvoted and you can see them, and like, because that would be kind of cool. It's like, oh wow, this was good, and then I'm willing to post that in the hopes, because people don't post for no reason. They post for social credit and social clout, and so if you do that and then you with the chance of getting upvoted, that's actually an interesting idea. I'll go. Not that anybody asked. No, I'm just kidding. That's my job to ask.
Let's get to the next section.
So our producer for the show really wanted to have a professional tool to play with Sora, because like playing with it through the app is sort of meh, but he knows what camera angles mean and all this kind of stuff. And so he sent me all these feature requests. I just gave it to AMP, and I built out like a fun thing for him to use where he can build like professional scenes in Sora. And I immediately thought like, wow, SAS probably isn't dead, right? Like this is, there's a lot of people that are making video that would want to use a tool like this because, and it's a really small niche. And so it was like that like hitting myself over the head with that idea that like SAS may not be dead. It's just getting smaller. It's like disco snails, like disco isn't dead. It just got really small. It's a song. I'll put up the link.
There's disco snails?
Don't.
It's an incredible song. Well, actually, if the show's over, we're all going to go listen to disco snails. But yeah, I just think there's so many cool opportunities to build little niche things like this. But
cool.
What I want to know also is like, if you're in the chat, if you're watching the show, like please drop in what's something you changed your mind about this week. We're gonna move on to some agentic coding tips, but I want to hear what you all have changed your mind about, because yeah.
Wait. What did you change your mind on? That SAS is not dead? Is that
I mean, I think for the longest time I've thought that like all these SaaS platforms, like you can just code up your own thing.
Yeah.
But the more we get into building AMP, the more I see how much detail, like everybody thinks agentic coding tools are extremely mature, and we all know that they are not. They are immature by the largest degree. Yeah. And now replicate that by every other vertical,
right?
And they like the agents there are infantile. You know what I mean? They haven't even begun. I had this conversation with Nikolai last week where he was saying that the reason agentic coding tools are getting so good is because the feedback loop is so quick. You can build on it. You can immediately see the deterministic output. But then for like but I think filmmaking is probably another thing like that, where you can make a scene through Sora 2, look at it, go, oh, interesting, and then change the agent to make that scene a little bit better. So I don't know. So what I changed my mind on is that SAS isn't dead, and there's going to be a million little vertical SAS things that jump up.
Amen. Love it.
Cool. Awesome. Great tips. Chat, please jump in and tip. Let's go back to Thorsten. What's something you've been cooking on? What's a thread?
This is gonna be, well, I always have boring tips, so this is par for the course. But
that's why we love you.
Yeah, Scott, if you can, or our production. Yeah, there you go. So
Oracle, remember?
This was yesterday. So to set the scene, I added this feature to start threads, right? Which is, you can see this in the top right here. Nobody start my thread here, which is surprising. But you could click that star button and give it a start, right?
I'll
And
do
I've
it.
worked on this.
Okay, we'll go in there right
And
now.
yeah, but so look, what I did here is something that I always have to remind myself of this, and that is these agents are really good at taking away like stupid work for you. And in this case, I wanted to test this feature in my local dev database, and I wanted to have multiple threads belonging to multiple different people in my local database where that there's only threads that I created, and I wanted them with different visibility settings and whatnot. And I know that if I had to do it by hand, I would have been too lazy for this, like rewire this stuff in the database. So in this case, I told it, the agent, look at the local database with psql, which it ignored for the first chapter of this thread. And then I said I want to test this feature, which is the spec, which we talked about last week. And I said I want a bunch of different threads that I can test with, right? Like a thread from somebody else. I am this person in the database that's public, and I want that's now private, blah blah blah, and I want to see that it doesn't show up. And then if you scroll, I need to scroll down, sorry. We're not in the future yet. So like a caveman, I'm scrolling here on my touchpad. But basically, you can see it got it wrong, which is fine, this looks bad. But the funny thing is, I didn't even tell the agent about the schema, nothing.
Right.
It just goes in and it does this. And then I think, there you go. It says column name doesn't exist. Then here, it says column this doesn't exist. Then here it fails again. So it discovers the schema, and then here it gets it right. It looks at the schema itself, runs the tool a bunch of times, says, I need to create test data. I can't modify this. I said use psql because the MCP doesn't allow modifying.
Yeah.
And then here again, it runs into a bunch of errors, blah, 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 tries again. And there you go. It has it and inserted like 2, test data threads in my database. And all I had to do was type that other thing. And once, I think I then went like, testing stuff and gave it, feedback and what we need to change and whatnot. But my point is, with stuff like this, you can so easy say, now create 50 of these and give them all different titles and give them different states. And all of the states that you see in this piece of code, make them happen here so I can see them.
Yep.
And I'm going on for a little bit, sorry. But so test data and that, like how you exercise like how you exercise your components and your app and whatnot. This is one way to do it. The other cool thing that I saw a couple days ago was what Tim, one of our designers, did. He was working on, I think, the settings page, and he basically, the billing page where you can say add new credits and whatnot. And in order to test it, he didn't create a separate thing. He asked AMP to, in that page, add like little test-only controls to toggle the different modes on and off. And I saw this and I was like, that's amazing. Like you can just throw away code. It's this much code. It, barfs it out in one go, and then you can just toggle through your component. And I don't know, like I keep saying this, but testing, throwaway, test utilities, other utilities, they're really good. And I have to keep myself reminding of this.
Yes, I literally just did this same thing. I was like, I need to set up the dev database with a certain sort of version of reality, So I had it look at the schema. All right, crank it out with psql. All right, see the database, and then create a script that I can just run whenever I want. And it's common stuff. But then I can say, okay, take that script, and now because the startup I'm building this side, it's about divorce. Don't worry, I'm not getting divorced, but it's to help people get divorced if they want. And you need all sorts of scenarios. Like, well, choose a couple that's high net worth. All right. See the database with a bunch of that stuff. All right. See the database with a low income couple. Right. And you just get all this magic instant, states of the app whenever you want. So
it's nice.
All created by AMP. So
yeah.
I've been kind of doing a variation of some of this in a slightly different angle, since you mentioned stupid work. So when kind of designing pages, you need certain data elements. I know ultimately that I'm going to put stuff in a database. And so like, I'll just iterate on the design, but have a mock data file, a .ts file that I'm then just able to iterate on, get the design, get everything happy the way that I want it. And then in the end, it's like, okay, I'm now moving over. Give me the scripts and walk me through everything they need to do. And then it's just copy, paste, and boom, all the data is where I need. And I'm not iterating of, oh, I forgot this column or any of that. So
that's smart. Nice. I like that.
This is, maybe I mentioned this last week, but hey, it's a classic. So I ran into an issue with our local dev server where I think I said this on the episode with Mitchell, but basically the local dev server wouldn't boot up, and because some migration failed to apply. And I've seen others in our Slack say, oh, it's because of Postgres 17 something. So I opened the app, I threw it the error, and I said like, oh, the migration doesn't work. And then it was like, oh, this is because it doesn't blah, blah. And I'm like, is it maybe because of Postgres 17? And then it was like, oh yeah, that could be it. Let me search the web. Yes, you're right. You need to update. And then I said something that I could have done by hand, but I never would have done because I'm lazy. I'm like, can you create a backup of the database for me and then help me restore it? And it's like, yep, did it. I restarted, updated, and now I said now replay, and it did it. And man, like, I think I would have not done this. And there's so much stupid stuff like this, test data and whatnot. And
yep. And
it's like
easy now.
It helps great engineers like really cover their butt, and it helps engineers like me be mildly passable. Like this is stuff that I would never do, never even think about. But then like Ample suggests like, why don't we get some test data? I'm like, all right, fine. It's like, all it is asking you to do it. So yeah, we get a great question here from LinkedIn. A great example of how to work with AI and what to look for while the output may not be perfect at first glance. If you know how to work with technology, it can save you time and optimize your workflows. Yeah, totally right. Alexandria, that's a great point. Josh is tuning in while he eats his lunch. That's great.
Yeah. What is he having for lunch, Josh?
Josh.
Let's get this on the channel.
It's Pacific time over here, so I'm still a little hungry. John telling us to look at the GitHub profiles for top AMP leaders. Oh, interesting. I don't know if that's a nod to what we're doing Wednesday, but we should tease that a little bit more.
Maybe.
Cool. This is great. Thorsten, what's the 7 other? You said you had 20 tips for us today.
Yeah, I got loads more. Okay. Yeah. No, this is a tiny one. Let me actually show this one. So wait a second.
I started that thread, by the way, so you can feel better.
Yeah.
And while Thorsten finds that,
I got it, dude. I got it.
I'll go after him.
No, I got it. So there you go. So this this is the same star feature. Also this one hasn't been starred. Look at this. That's crazy.
I'm on it. I hear you.
But
I'm your emotional support star.
I'm using JJ, which is Jujitsu, which is a version control system, but does not matter for this. I often do this, that I start a new thread, and to load all of the context into the thread, I tell the agent to run git diff or git diff stage or git show commit, because a commit has amazing information, like meta information. It has like what files changed and thus what files need to be changed together, right?
That's cool.
If you change this, you also change this. It contains the diff. So instead of saying, look at these 2 files and look at the feature I built, the diff tells you these are the changes you made. And that is just, like pointing the agent at a diff or stage diff or whatever it is like a really good way to kind of, bootstrap a good context window.
When you did this, it's interesting. So you didn't have to say, keep in mind, the files that had changed, in that diff. And it's interesting.
It sees the files.
To say, look at it.
Yeah, it sees the files. You can even give it multiple commits and say, like, look at all of these and then help me continue. Wow. And they have amazing, like, it's nice. Like, there you go. Tim is in the our own TUI, Tim the TUI man, Culverhouse is in the chat.
Tim the Dewey Man.
That is like a good practical tip. I've never thought of giving it the diff. That's like, I love it.
I got 19 more coming up. Let's go. No, I
Nope,
don't. I
nope.
don't.
You're cut off. You're cut off.
Okay.
All right, Ryan, do you got a tip for us this week?
I do. So I'm going to share. This is almost an anti-tip. So check this out. All right. Okay. So I'm sharing my screen. So what you're looking at is something called Document AI. Okay. So why
You're
am I
looking at Google Cloud, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So let me tell you why I'm showing you this. Okay. So this is a PDF. It's doing essentially a mix of OCR and agentic vision. But this is what's weird about this. Okay. So at first, because
Hold on, Ryan. I know what an OCR is, definitely, but maybe you want to explain it for everybody.
Optical character recognition. I almost forgot what it's called.
Oh, got it. Okay, cool. I knew that.
So one of the things I need to do in my app is I have to scan PDFs, right? So your spouse, uploads their financial affidavit. We need the app to read it all. And this is the hard part, is figure out which fields go in which part of the database. So I, of course, used an LLM at first. I was like, oh yeah, I'm just going to throw this at a good LLM. I'll tell it the schema and it will figure it out. And I tried GPT-5 at first. I just had a lot of trouble. Switched to Sonnet 4.5, a little better. And then I was like, wait a minute, let me just use Gemini 2.5 Flash because it's super fast, very smart, and cheap. So I actually got pretty good results with that. What I did is I basically went in and highlighted a part of the PDF in red as an example. I fed the image to the LLM and said, just extract, the dollar amounts from this part of the PDF. And Flash did really well. And then someone on Twitter said, you should check Document AI. And I was like, what? Why have I not heard of this? So this is an API that Google offers that allows you to do very, very accurate scanning of images. And so now I'm just using this. So basically you mark these up. You actually train and fine tune a model on your document.
Oh, cool.
So this is one of these things, just because we all use large language models all day, every day, doesn't necessarily mean that actually every task, should be now fed to, an LLM or an agent. So I just thought it'd be kind of interesting to share that. It was kind of interesting.
Wait, so you fine tune, what? You feed multiple PDFs and say...
So what you do is you create what's called a processor, and a processor is, think of it as this is a general task that I want done with a document. And then so what you do is you create a processor, and then you create a schema, which is, these are the list of fields I want to pull out of this document. And then you go in and then you upload multiple versions of a PDF with different data in, and you mark it by hand. You literally drag a box and say, this is this schema field. And you only have to do that 5 times. And then you click fine tune, and it fine tunes on a base model and then gives you that processor as an API endpoint. And it's so fast and so accurate and so cheap. It's
wow.
That's a great tip. I know my husband I've been filling in forms for him for an optical character recognition. So I am passing that tip on to him. So thank you. Great tip.
It's called Document AI. It's basically free. It's so cheap. And it's kind of a cool workflow. So there we go.
This is so cool. One of my last jobs before tech was sending out offers to people to buy their houses. I would send out tons of offers a day, and I would fill out, this is 10 years ago. I'm filling out all of these real estate offers over and over again. But this is, I just horrifying. I could send out 1,000 offers a day. This is crazy.
There you go.
Ryan, will it do it for ETL price sheets?
I mean, pretty much. This is what the fascinating thing of what all of us are doing, right? You can piece together all these workflows. It's me hitting the Document AI, endpoint is just one little part of this massive workflow, which kind of feeds into I'm turning to Thorsten here with tip 38, but but I definitely thinking about Mastra more for agentic orchestration, which is this framework on top of it's essentially on top of AI SDK.
Yeah.
And it's just got this beautiful like visual workflow thing. And I'm like, do I want this? This adds extra complexity. I don't know. So,
but in this case, it would be the document API would be one pipe in the overall workflow,
exactly.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and John Shelburne. No. Yeah, there you
go. No, this is the hard part. I had to like use AMP to basically build the schema for me. I said, go look at this TypeScript file, which has all the fields defined, pull them out, create a JSON, and then use the API in Document AI to go upload the schema because I didn't want to click the button 39 times. But, you know, again, you can just tell AMP or agent of choice, go look at the API documentation, build me a script that I put in throwaway, and then crank it out.
Now I'm imagining if people who work in public office in Germany where you still have to sometimes send PDFs or, you know, like how many workflows could you automate where you get rid of, I guess ideally you would get rid of the PDFs altogether and not send a PDF to be analyzed somewhere and then, you know.
Yeah. I think there's thousands of these. I think of them as like, you're building an API endpoint to archaic government systems. And there are thousands of those I think there's going to be thousands of these businesses. It's going to be fun. So
nice.
Yeah. It's much more likely that the archaic systems stay in, and then there's like one enterprising person that builds a system. Like for my school or my kids' school, we get the worst communications. We get like 20,000 word emails like 4 times a day, and like buried somewhere in there is like a very actionable thing that we have to do, right? And it's like I would pay someone to parse all of those emails and just put calendar invitations on my invite, like, and same thing from like the local parks department, like totally unintelligible communications. But if we could have that turned into something useful, that would be really great.
Sounds like a good use for AMP SDK.
Yeah. Seriously, just wrap your entire local government in AMP SDK, and then you're good to go. So we're joined today by Colleen. Colleen, thank you so much. You're Build Crew member, and so people theoretically know who Thorsten, Ryan, and I are, but maybe you want to give us just like a smidge about you and what you're working on, what brought you to Build Crew, and then we would love to hear your tip.
Yeah, certainly. So my background had been in web development, had been working in WordPress, was working in Webflow, and just with everything that was kind of changing, started taking a look around at other tools and started out with Cursor and Windsurf and Claude Code and, you know, all the things. And then just recently have just been enjoying building lots of little things in AMP. So I think one of the big things that for me that needs to happen is like kind of going back to what Thorsten was saying about stupid work, is that there's this change in how you think about things and approach things and do things. And so with that, I've been doing lots of like little things like a directory, a to-do app, you know, basically a lot of the starter types of things that people do when they're basically starting to vibe code or learn a new tool or that type of thing. So one of the things that one of my tips has been or is, you know, as you're working with some of these tools, it's only as good as the data going in. And, you know, we know about having good PRDs and kind of, you know, good design documents, all those types of things. But once you start coding, those docs get out of date. At least they do for me, because I get excited. I'm checking stuff into GitHub, you know, doing all those things, but I'm not necessarily updating the documentation. And so then I'm kind of wondering, why the heck is this thing happening over here? Like, this is like broken. And then I'm in a bad loop of trying to undo, and it keeps happening. And then with a grep or something, discover there's a line buried somewhere that didn't get updated. And so my tip now is basically when I go to do a commit, I've got a series of processes that go and look at what have I changed, help me create my Git commit message, what docs in my docs folder are now out of date that need to be archived, that need to be updated. And it's just, now it's rote. Like, I don't have to remember to do those things. I have to remember to type the command to make all that happen. But that's not so hard, because I'm going to commit this to Git GitHub anyway. And so, yeah, so having these tools work with you to get rid of the stupid work and just being able to ask, what is that stupid work? So,
but that's an agent, right? You when you do the commit, you then say to some agent or LLM what docs are outdated, or do you statically pull out?
no, I've got a npm run commit, I think is what I have it, and run that in the terminal. So I used AMP to help create the scripts and stuff to make that happen.
Oh, cool.
So I basically described, hey, I'm constantly forgetting how to do this. I need to be doing these things. Help me be better about it. So
that's awesome.
I love those like meta workflow solutions like that. It's always, I'm never, it's like a mechanic not doing their own car, but I'm never in the mind space to actually set out and do those. So every time someone does, I'm always like, I should really be doing that. Sorry, Ryan, I cut you off.
Yeah.
That
it also means that everything's consistent too. So consistent, I don't have to worry about it. I don't like.
I'm curious. So that's interesting that you run it on npm. So because I have a slash command called ship, and it runs through, run tests, okay, fix tests, do a build, fix the build errors, okay, then commit. Then I have a pre-commit hook, but I haven't added like, hey, if you touched any files that have documentation, update them. So I'm literally going to add it to my slash command right now. So thank you. But was there a reason you didn't use a slash command for that versus a script? Like, I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't know that I've got a good reason for it. At one point in an earlier version, I was going the slash command route. And then as I was iterating, ended up over on the NPM. So I may not be technical enough to, I kind of just went with.
But there's a good reason. I'm just curious. Because there's also the thing called tools and toolboxes. And Thorsten, could you explain what tools and toolboxes, how that works, and like, do you use any or no?
No one can. No. So okay, let's start with slash commands. Okay, so slash commands in AMP or in Claude Code, or I think Carson now has slash commands too. Usually they trigger some kind of workflow in the application, like dumbest example, slash quit, right? Or slash new creates a new thread or stuff like this. Then there's other types of slash commands, which instead of doing something with the app, they generate a prompt or some text that you then send to the agent. And in our case, in AMP, we have something called custom slash commands, which you can drop in, I think it's .amp.commands or something. And you drop this in, and the name of the command is the name of the file. And then it's a script. So if you run then, slash my custom slash command, it executes the script, and the text that's outputted from the script on standard out is being sent as a message, right? So you could theoretically do anything you want in that script, whatever, boot up a new server or something, or whatever, and then output the message like, hey, the server is running here or something. So that's custom slash commands. And I think John had a question where you define them. If you go to ampcode.com/manual and you search for custom slash commands, you will see that, you put them in .agent/commands or in, wait a second, let me put this on my other window. If our production team can put this on the screen, that would be amazing.
Can they? They're magic.
There you go. So these are the locations. So custom slash commands. The examples here, PR review. I think that's Nikolai's examples. He uses this to generate like a prompt to say like review this commit and blah blah blah. And yeah, you can see they also take arguments. So you can say slash blah blah argument, and it's going to pass to the script. So that's custom slash commands. Toolboxes. If I go to this window again and I search for toolboxes and I click on toolboxes, toolboxes are slightly different in the sense that instead of you executing them like the slash commands, where you, the user, the human, deterministically or whenever they want executes it. Toolboxes are tools that you can give to the agent, but you also create a little script. You can use whatever language you want. All that matters is that you respect this envar. If it's called with describe, you have to return the description of the tool. If it's called with execute as the action, then you actually execute it. And if one of you knows how agents works, which are it's an LLM with tools, and you usually when you send the system prompt up, you say these are the tools, here's the input parameters, and then when the agent says I want to use this tool with these input parameters, you execute it, send the results back up. And with toolboxes, you can do this dynamically. So you can per directory in your repo create a toolbox, throw a bunch of scripts in, and then the agent will see them and can call them on their own, I guess is the pronoun for agents. Like the agent can decide when to call the tool and say, I'm going to execute this tool.
It's
Well,
its own.
It's on its own. It's when it's willing. Yeah.
You acted like you couldn't explain tools, and you just went through a very amazing masterclass on what they are and how they work. So thank you.
Yeah, glad we recorded this.
Right. I wanted to share my screen real fast to show you a slash command that I use all the time. So this is my ship slash command that I was talking about. And Colleen, I was literally just adding your tip. So I need to renumber, but basically all this is a markdown file, right? So it does get status just to check if I have anything that actually needs to be committed that I forgot about. Now I'm adding update docs and I'm still typing this. So bear with me while I do that. Run linter, run all out tests, run build, restart, right? And then I actually use a tool. This is a tool that I built, and Thorsten's, I think, is now trying to get me to stop using tmux, which, we'll see how.
But tmux, how is that not the thing you changed your mind about? Tmux was like all we talked about for the last 2 weeks, and now it's out. What?
It's more performant if you use Ghosty without it. But anyway, so so this is a custom slash command. So the whole point of this is that now whenever I'm done and I feel like, okay, I'm ready to potentially, ship to prod, run this, and this usually catches some stuff. So just a little tip. Hope it changed.
Cool. Josh is asking if there's an example of a tool that we can show. If anybody has a tool to show us.
Thorsten, why don't you do that?
While you're looking for that, I just want to point out that
I got it. Graham, come on, I come prepared.
No, you don't.
No, I don't know.
All right.
So this is in our AMP repo, right? So spilling the beans here. So we have two
looking
tools.
for any files.
Yeah, one is tmux, and this is, I think, a wrapper that Dario built, which is it's a tool that shows up with the name tmux for the agent, and the description is it allows you to run commands in the background, and you can run them, pm dev, blah blah blah, like background processes, right? Which is something that a lot of other agents try to build into their harness and manage running background processes, but it's always a little bit of a fickle thing. So with this tool, instead of the agent running one of bash commands, it can use this tool to send commands to a tmux session, right? And if you look at this, I think this has all been created by AMP, to be honest. But you can see like these are the inputs that the agent can provide. Like what do they want to do? List windows, run shell, capture output, blah, blah, blah. So that's one tool that is kind of, I think it was John who said this in the chat, like Josh, right? This is a little nuanced. Like all of this is nuanced. I'm not even sure whether I could say for this use case use slash commands, for this use case use tool, for this use case use whatever. I think there's a lot of overlap, but it's handy to have these things to figure this stuff out. And if we can see my screen again real quick, if I go back here, we can see that we have custom slash commands, right? So this one is a favorite in our code base. So this is /amp_do, based on something that Tim, the TUI man Culverhouse, has been doing, which is when he wants the agent to go through the code and fix stuff, he leaves like amp_do commands. And then he has used this slash command to say, hey, search for these comments, use ripgrep to find them, and then review them and blah, blah, blah. And after finding them, analyze the feedback, implement the code changes, address the issues, blah, 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 and provide a summary of all actions. And that's like a slightly different thing, right? That's something you want to trigger as a user, and tools is something that you want to give in the hands of the agent or the fangs, whatever, to use on its own.
And fangs for sure. Fangs.
Yeah, fangs.
Love it.
But yeah, so that's like a little, tiny.
Josh, let us know if that helps. I know I met Josh at a conference, and he was, John's asking you to share that in a post.
Pretty, please. I want to give Colleen props though, because the fact that you figured out there's this repetitive script that you want to run that, reduce your workload, decrease, errors and bugs, updated documents. It's smart. Thanks for encouraging me to do that.
That's part of what the power of AI, all these tools is. So just asking questions and letting it go. Yeah.
I actually have a bone to pick with you, Colleen, which is this is now maybe the second or third time that you have mentioned that you're not technical, and it just makes me so mad. Like you just taught Ryan to do something, and so I would, talk nicer. That self-talk. We gotta work on that, because you're crushing it.
It's a spectrum. So not as technical as everyone here. More technical.
Actually, I would put me below you. I'm a clown with a microphone. I'm technical in t-shirt only, in how I dress. So no, but this is great. And there, Josh Phillips, who's watching, is I met him at a conference a few weeks ago, and he did this like AMP workshop. We gave him like $250, and he came back 2 days later, and he's like, I burned through all that. I need more money now. And so we gave him more stuff. And so Josh is just ripping through some of this, and he built something where he had a bunch of instructions for every single aspect of his code base. And he's like, why is my context window totally exploding? It's because every time he ran any command, it pulled all of his different versions of his agentmd file. So he was just burning 300,000 tokens on every single request. And which is why he ran so much money so fast. But yeah. And Josh, I'm not talking trash. I'm talking how it's cool. Let's see here. He's got a question.
It's an easy mistake to make when you're just starting.
Totally.
Because there's just so many things coming at you.
Yeah. He's saying, right, the distinction is who executes it, right? What's the trigger? Is it the agent or the human? And there's a lot of overlap. There is a lot of overlap, but just to make this a little bit clearer, imagine it's, you want to say something to the agent like, modify these 15 files, and after modifying a single file, use this tool to do whatever, like lint or whatever it is, with a custom toolbox. If you build a custom tool that only, for example, lints the files that have just been changed or something, you can do this, right? With custom slash commands, you would then have to wait and say, every time you change a file, let me know, and then I run a custom slash command that does something and sends you a message again. So this is more like, if you think about how you interact with agents, do you want to kick off a conversation with something? Then it should be a slash command or custom slash command. Is it something the agent should be able to do? Then give it a tool.
Love
That's
it.
a great.
A quick one. I want to know if you all have seen this. It seems like recently Sonnet 4.5 has increased its desire to create markdown files after you do work.
Oh yeah, I've heard this. Yeah.
And I'm seeing this a lot, and I just put it in my agents.md file, because it's please never ever create markdown files after you're done. Totally bonkers.
I haven't seen this at all.
Really?
No.
I don't know why it's doing it to me. Maybe it's trolling me. Colleen, is this?
I feel like I've been getting some more markdown files recently, and it's I don't need new ones. I just need the other ones updated. We're good.
It's it wants to live on forever. I'm going to leave, markdown everywhere that I go. So
if you read the bottom, of it, it's spin up new container, clone self. It's just trying to escape.
Have you seen this where Sonnet 4.5? I've had this like 2 times in a couple of days where it seems lazy. Like it would tell me, and then now you would need to, do this. And I'm like, what do you mean I need to? Like, you go and do it.
That's been
Go.
happening. Yeah, absolutely. It's like, here's the command to run. I'm like, you can run commands,
Yeah.
So,
This is I often think about like when we get robots in our house, like, are you gonna be like, all right, clean the kitchen? Then it's gonna be like, okay, now you do the laundry. And it's like, no, no, that's what you're here for. What else do you have to do? Oh, this is great. Okay. We've got so somebody was mentioning Steve Yegi's beads project. Have you guys checked that out yet?
Not yet. No.
He's on our team, so we really should have.
I know.
He just published it last night, I think, or early this morning. Tim the Toolman Culverhouse said he started using it last night. But yeah, I think it's like it's a way for managing memory, I think, for your agents. So
well, you have to forgive us. We posted last night. Come on. I mean, not that on it.
I'm sorry. I do everything Steve does, I'm on top of immediately. So I'll share my my little tip, even though again nobody asked. And that's it's actually not even mine, but it's a really great tip that Daniel.
Come on.
Team. I could have just lied.
No one asked.
I could have lied and stolen it and just said it was mine, but I want to give credit.
I like it.
Let's hear.
Yeah, so he's what he says he'll do is he'll actually ask questions of the agent, things that he already knows the answer to, just to get that information into the context window in a more efficient way. So he'll be like, figure out how these UI components are built and the common conventions for them. And so then it gets that information in, which I think is a cool way of like, instead of you having to explain it, it's a sort of trick of getting the agent to do some of that work. So it's cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Colleen, how are you, when you think about doing something new, how are you typically setting up the agent for success? What's your current methodology?
Yeah, so it's interesting that tip just now, because a lot of times if I'm getting ready to start something, I will start with a like, hey, critique, and I already kind of know some stuff. And I kind of use that a little bit. A lot of it is just sort of ideating with voice, like in ChatGPT or something like that, because I know I can say a lot more and then condense that down and then put that into a spec and start going from that. I did think it was interesting what Thorsten was saying earlier about like favoriting and being able to keep that, because I've been accumulating these prompts that I like for either kicking off a new project or kicking off a certain type of thing. And I've been keeping it in Obsidian, because with Obsidian, I can do markdown files and all of that. And I've just felt like there's got to be a better way. Like, it just seems clunky to basically copying stuff, moving stuff, and then going, remembering. And I mean, Obsidian is kind of nice. I don't necessarily, I've wondered about like checking into GitHub, but then it's going to be like, where the heck is that? And yada, yada, yada. So I spend a lot of time when I'm getting ready to kick something off of just the planning, because I feel like, that adage of, measure twice, cut once, and just that ultimately helps me in the long run. So hopefully I answered. I don't know if there was something else that you were looking for or wanting to hear.
Well, that sounds very familiar. I'll share my screen to show Steve's post real quick. It's called Introducing Beads, a Coding Agent Memory System. And I'll just read it.
I'm there. Look at this.
Oh, there you are. Let's zoom in. Can we? All right. Now look, there's Thorsten being very happy in Cabo.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not sure what you're saying.
You're assuming like he's not always happy.
Well,
he's our little bubble of sunshine.
Really am.
He's our Bavarian bubble of sunshine.
Interesting. So
that sounded sarcastic.
Interesting. I'm excited to check this out and see what. Well, this is a long. Oh my! It's still going. Okay.
Yeah, I need to read this. I think look, like I got called out a little bit on Twitter, I think a couple of days back. So I tweeted something, a graph with like, you start out as agentic programmer with like, hey, please fix this. And then you go through this phase in the middle where you use all of these elaborate workflows and like different ways to 18 custom slash commands and blah, 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 MCP servers, all of that. And then you go through it. It's my thesis. And on the other end, you end up with probably like simple prompts, small conversations, and all of that stuff. And somebody was like, hey, you guys need to get your story straight. Like Steve is out here, with like 18 agents running at the same time. And if you've seen him in Cabo, he basically walks around with his laptop never closed because he always has 4 agents running. And he just basically just stops and pings them and pushes them.
He was walking by the pool with his laptop out. Like
yeah. And we don't have to get any story straight. Like we always said, like, we need to figure this out together. And he, in his project, he's exploring all of this. Like he's trying to figure out how to get the most out of this. And what he's doing is right on the edge, I would say, of what's possible. And he wrote the book called Vibe Coding. So he knows the stuff. And I'm on the other end, trying to add a star button to the website that you can click. I'm not, it's a different setup, and what works for me doesn't work for him, and the other way around. So
absolutely.
Here, I just started saying pretty please fix and seeing if that does it. But that's as far as I've gotten on improving my workflow.
I always say, who says thank you to the agent? Come on.
Oh yeah.
Too slow, Graham. They saw this. They will see this in the future. They will watch the recording.
How much money do you think? Oh, go ahead, please.
I was just gonna say, I will say I'm never quite sure. I always am like, hi AMP/Oracle. I'm never quite sure how to start my conversation.
Yeah.
Politely.
I was wondering how much money do you think the base model companies have made just on people being polite? Like what's the dollar amount that they've made on politeness?
Yeah. Oh, I forgot. Tim, you should throw this comment out. This is so funny. I was talking to Tim about this in Cabo, and his wife works in a field where they help people, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but she's concerned AMP needs a break sometimes.
Yeah. That's funny. My wife asked me if I need to work sometimes. No. Well, this has been a great show, and in no small part to Colleen. So thank you for joining us from the Build Crew team. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Thorsten and Ryan, sort of thank you. No,
you're welcome.
But as a reminder, the point of the show is really just to help us all make sense of this stuff, like to the point that Thorsten made about how he's on one end of it, Steve's on the other, I'm trailing many miles behind. Nobody knows how to do this stuff right, and the only way that we're all going to get better is if we keep coming together and talking about it. So join buildcrew.team. Every single day we do a stand-up. It's just like this, but everybody joins. And this was Colleen's idea. So again, thank you, Colleen, for stand-up. We need to get you like a custom I created stand-up pack. But it's a great space. If you want to have some more conversations, share what you're talking about, join Build Crew. You can join the stand-up with us every day. And then we do this live stream every single Tuesday. And we're going to have a different Build Crew member every week, and then other people from the AMP community that are going to join. But go to buildcrew.team, fill it out. Everybody, thanks for joining so much from the four corners of the Western world. Throwback.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks so much for watching the stream today. Appreciate y'all joining.
Thanks for the invite. I always learn something new.